All right, guys, congratulations. Everybody made it through the book, or at least some of the Zoom meetings here about the book. Either way, it's all good. Hopefully, we learned some new things, and for everybody that's reading it again, they picked up some new stuff in the book. I surely have. Every time I read the book, I think that's my third or fourth time I've read it, pick up something new, and especially doing this with you guys, I definitely picked up a lot more information, paying more attention to it. I've been practicing every day, a little bit at night, a little bit during the day, and a little bit in the morning, or actually more in the morning than anything. And just getting to the vibrational state a lot, and I feel my mind getting back into the flow of where it used to be when I used to practice hardcore about 4 or 5 years ago. So I'm happy with that. And doing this book review with you guys is exciting, and I enjoy that too as well. So moving on, Brett, what's new?
Not much. I'm just taking this one online class for creative writing, but other than that, I'm just same old. You know,
Cool. David,
Hey, James. Hi,
what's up,
everybody.
David?
Hey,
How are
James.
you?
Hi, everybody. Um, did anybody see what I wrote? Posted on Did anybody see what I posted on the in the discussion, and then I took it down about a half an hour later? No.
I didn't.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to make this quick, but after 30 years of meditation, lucid dreaming, investing an exorbitant amount of time trying to understand the possibility behind astral projection, I I initiated an astral session with full conscious decision making capabilities last night, 3 times in 20 minutes.
Wow.
Uh, I don't I spent most of the day writing everything down today, and I had so many predispositions about it, and while I was there, I realized that's what was holding me back. I glorified astral projection in a very Hollywood kind of way, thinking how it was going to be, and for 30 years I just couldn't. And then last night, everything we did over the last month, I was conscious of it. Yeah, exactly. I was conscious. So little things like when I disassociated from that first state, I said, turn around, Dave, look at your body. When I turned around and look at my body was there, but it wasn't in the way I was expecting. I thought I was going to see a physical body, hard and, you know, in the material kind of way. Instead, I saw the contours of the body more than anything else. And there was a luminescent light around my physical body. I'm like, what is this shit? And excuse me. And then, and then I was remember everything we had in our conversation. And I went through the door. Yeah, I went through the door, and then I was up in the air, and I was like, okay, I promised myself. It's kind of weird. Your thoughts are very different from here. Like, you would think, oh, I'm going to go to the pyramids. I'm going to go here and I'm going to go there. No, the first thing that came to my mind was, in a weird kind of way, I remember my cousin gave me permission to visit him. I said, okay, if I go visit my cousin, I'll be able to have some kind of proof, but I don't have his address. So I was stuck in the air there, and I'm like, okay, this is just stupid. And then boom, I was back in my body, and I was like, oh no. So I used the countdown method, counting back actually 10 to 1 with breathing in, breathing out. And that slipped me back in, and it started happening again. And then I went through the wall this time instead of the door. And it's kind of like you just go through the wall. I don't know how to, well, you guys probably heard this before and have experienced it, but you just go through the wall. And it's not like you really don't go through the wall. You just walk towards the wall, and then you're on the other side. And then I was up in the air again, and I was like, okay, I got to go visit my cousin, but I don't have his address. And then I remember the conversations we had about using your thought, just think it and you might be there. And I tried that. The next thing I know, I was hovering above a whole bunch of forests, and I'm looking at this forest, not recognizing where I was, and I still don't remember what his address was. So I couldn't. So I was lost above. It was just incredible how I was so conscious about everything that was happening. And I remembered our conversations in this group. And 30 years I have been waiting for this. And what really took me by surprise was I now understand that this is going to be different for every human being. I don't believe, or I don't know, I don't think it'll be the same for everyone. And that's why I couldn't understand it before. Like I could share this with someone and they're going to look at me, and if they haven't experienced this, they might be confused or uncertain or doubtful. And now I understand that a little bit more. And it kind of helps remove a bit of your I had this way of condemning others, when I didn't understand them. I had this way of judging. uh
Wow. That's David, that's awesome, man. Did you was it you said during the morning it happened?
it happened at it happened after midnight. And I really don't want to monopolize everybody's time here. It happened after midnight, and something told me that something was going to happen when I lay down. I'm not a big believer in intent. I hear that a lot, but I just laid down. I said, Dave, you just lie down and just do your meditation, and stop believing you know how it's going to be there. When you wake up and you look at the sky, you see the sky is blue. So when you dream, or you meditate and you're on the other side, or when you're dreaming, you want the sky to be blue because that's all you know. And that's how it kind of was for me all these years. I just assumed the sky's blue over there because that's all I know. And because the sky wasn't blue over there, the sky can be any color you want. It would stop me from experiencing things. But I had 3 sessions in a space of 20 minutes. And then finally, after the third session, I said, okay, I just gonna go to sleep. I can't do this anymore.
Wow, that's awesome. That's so cool. Um did you have a conscious separation, or did you lose consciousness and come out into it?
110% conscious transition.
Wow.
I saw that I didn't, this vibrational thing we talked about. I'm always, when I go to bed, I'm like, my anxiety is high. I'm shaking. So I almost thinking it's just nervousness, right? But last night when I went to bed, I just laid there, and I slowly was slipping in, and it reached a point where I remember when I said, "Oh shit, it's happening." And it's kind of weird. It's like, you don't have a doubt in your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a weird conviction that just sweeps all over you, and this is something else is happening. You may not know exactly what's happening, but you know something is happening. And I consciously slipped in, and I remembered the time frame I was consciously slipping in. And then I said, oh wow, oh yeah, I remember my hands. I try to raise my hands up, and I remember being worried that, oh no, I'm so awake that if I raise my hand up, I'm just going to raise my hand up. But then I saw my hand up, and I'm looking down at my hand on the bed. I said, wait a minute. Then I raised the other hand, and then the weirdest thing happened. My upper body rose, but it's kind of weird. It just rose up. And that's when I stood up, and when I turned around and I looked at my body. And then those 2 other attempts that I achieved, I did the exact same thing and looked around and saw my body those 2 other times. And oh, I remember something else. The more I tried to focus on things, the more murky it got. And the more I just said, stop trying to focus, the clearer things got. What I'm going to say is, I don't know 110% what I experience, but if this is just dreaming, man, for me, that's still incredible that I can create that in my head. That's what I'm going to say. If this is just dreaming, I can't believe I can build that whole world in my head enough that I can think about you guys in there, the things that we talked about, the things that we like. There was so many things in our conversations we had that, oh my God, I'm just talking too much. Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
No, I mean that's great, David. And then yeah, I remember my first time. I it was like I had a backpack of all the stuff that I've listened to, just brought with me, And I was so proud of myself when I got out that all this stuff was there, things to do, by checking your hands, looking for my body, seeing what senses were working. It was a great trust, and sounds like that happened to you as well. That is anyone who wants to say something about this, ask a question.
I missed the beginning. I was wondering if you did something differently than you normally do.
Yeah. I
in your
don't know. I don't know why. It was what right before I started meditating, different things went through my head that was very different. I did a count as opposed to doing a countdown in my dreams. I did a countdown uh, from 10 to 1, and then when I reached 1, I would start the countdown again, and I would do 10. And then I would breathe in, and then count down again and say 9, breathe out, and I did that. And I think the biggest thing was stop believing I knew everything. I kept telling myself that, Dave, how can you believe these expectations you have of astral projection? How can you have them when you really don't know what it is or what's really going on over there? You have nothing to define that. And stop thinking about the Hollywood movies. Stop thinking about what everybody tells you how it is. Just stop thinking about that. Not to not listen to people and read books, but right now, don't think about all those things and just let go. And I remember having that. I don't know why I had those thoughts. I just had those thoughts. And when I started doing the countdown, and I was counting down, in a matter of minutes, I started slipping over, and I was like, "What the heck is going on?" And then I started slipping and slipping and slipping, and that's when I started doing the hand movements. And when I raised myself, my body rose by itself, the upper part. And when I walked off, I turned around and I saw my physical body, but it was, like I said, it wasn't like a material, the full, oh crap.
While he's getting his phone, I have a question.
Oh, sorry about that, yeah.
What position were you in? And was this the first time that you astrally projected? Okay.
I've never initiated it at a conscious level, something like this that I really cannot explain. Like I've read about the experiences flying and going to different planets and that kind of stuff, but this, I saw myself in my mind, or no, I felt I was slipping slowly, consciously, while I stayed conscious. And I was lying on my back with my head tilted upwards, and I felt myself slow. And at one point, it's like you just believe it, you just know it, you're doing it, because it doesn't feel. It's like you have control, but you don't have control. You know what? I'm searching for words to explain this, but as you can see, I really can't find the words because I don't know what to say more than that. I'm searching for words right now, but I can't really find all the words. But I remember the countdown, and I do remember to stop having these predispositions. I've romanticized astral projection. I look at Hollywood movies and think that's the way it is. And because I had this bar so high that anything less than that, I was like, no, then I'm definitely not doing it.
Right.
And then finally, I just said, Dave, I'm so exhausted. Just let it go. It is going to be what it is. And that happened to me.
That's the key.
And I laughed so much. That I remember too. I was laughing because, like I said, even if it's a dream, somehow all our conversations, they slipped in. They guided me, because at one point, I remember this, the third time when I raised my arms, I was like, oh man, I remember one of the chapters we were talking about that there might be dark forces or entities on the other side, and how am I going to deal with that? And all these thoughts were going through my head, and everything was getting murky again. And I said, Dave, just don't be afraid. And weirdest thing is, you like, that fear went away. Like there's nothing there to hurt you. And then the third attempt, that's when I went up again, and I was in the sky, and I said, okay, I'm going to use I believe it was the third attempt. I hope I'm not confusing that. And I said, okay, I'm going to go to my cousin, and I'm just going to use thought. And when I try to think of him, I moved, and next thing I was above all these forests. I was in a forest setting above it. And I was like, are you joking me? I'm lost. And the moment I said that, in a matter of seconds, I was in my body and my eyes were awake.
How did it feel coming back in? Do you remember that?
I remember picking up my phone and typing like hell. I, that's the first thing I did was I started typing and typing and typing because it's so fresh that
Yeah.
it was so fresh that and I think what was so fresh too was how conscious I was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How conscious that you, when you come back in your body, how much information, when you know you're going right back to your body and you're fully conscious, how often does that happen when you wake up in the morning? Hardly ever.
yeah, that was at a different level for me. What really took me by surprise is the amount of information that I thought I forgot, but the amount of information I retain from the conversations we've had over the last couple of weeks, last 3 or 4 weeks. Because while this was happening to me, it was just coming to me. Oh, remember this, remember that, remember this conversation, and remember that. It was rushing to me, and I don't know if it was. I don't like using those words, but kind of guiding, or it was like if the recall to that was there to give me some level of comfort. And I had no fear other than that at the third attempt when I was like, oh no, what about these entities? And that went away really fast. And yeah, thanks again, guys.
Did anybody else want to ask David anything about his open?
How physically tired were you at the time when you went to go meditate?
That's interesting, Brett. I had just finished shoveling 2 hours of snow.
That'll do it.
And when I lay down, I remembered telling myself, "Oh, I'm going to sleep so good tonight," but I feel like something is going to happen. Not in a bad way. It's not even like feeling something's good, something's going to happen. I just felt something, and it gave me a comfort that you're going to sleep and you're going to sleep good, or just something that's going to. I guess yes, something is going to happen, and yeah, 2 hours of snow shoveling and. I didn't row yesterday, but the 2 hours it broke me up. I was beaten.
The only reason I asked is because that's what I've like read and heard, especially when you're trying to go out direct, like through meditating. The more tired your body is, your body will fall asleep quicker while your awareness is retained. It has a better chance of that happening. And so that might have assisted you in being able to get out so quickly and multiple times since your body was dead tired.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too when you were talking about it, like how it's hard to have words to describe what's happening. Because I think once you hit a certain point, it's almost kind of automatic. It's like this automatic function is kind of overtaking some of the experience. And you're starting to like rise up and out, and you're not really controlling that. You're just kind of exiting at the time. Is that how it felt?
Yeah, I exited. I didn't. I know I was going, but I didn't have control of that exit. Like I didn't really control it 100%. And I know the difference because when this was all happening to me, I was fully conscious. Even though everything seemed murky at times, I was fully conscious. And even guys, I can't really explain it. I'm trying to. I'm really trying to, but I don't want to mislead anybody with what happened to me. You know, I don't want to make it more than it is. But the exiting it felt natural. When it was happening to me, it felt natural, and I'm almost certain. I'm almost certain it was because of the amount of conversations we had and the book reading together as a group. Because, like I said, a lot of these conversations were coming at me and it was helping me. I was like, oh yeah, remember this, remember that, remember this. Oh yeah, we talked about this, and that was going on. And it's kind of weird because when you have all of that happening to you, and I can see how someone can go a bit batty when you have all those conversations coming at you and you're fully conscious and you're experiencing this, what seems to be some kind of make-believe world. Do you know what I mean? That disassociation, and you're trying to associate it. It's unbelievable.
I think partly because of all the like these meetings and you're talking about it and thinking about it, it's in training that subconscious of yours also. And that I think is what's providing all this information to be so accessible in the moment, because it's in your subconscious thought. And that's brought up really quickly when you're out of body. Like every thought is extremely important when you're out of body. Like you firsthand seen how kind of fickle it is and how easy you can come back just with a stray thought. So like thought control is really a big important factor when you're out.
And David, when I had my first, I remember I was kind of like, I would say, on cloud nine for like a week. I just felt different about the world until I got regrounded back on Earth here. So if you're getting that high too afterwards, enjoy it and just keep going, keep learning, and keep practicing.
Okay.
I noticed I didn't have one for a while after I had my first one. It took a little bit. I was so excited that anytime I get to the vibrational state or any word experience as I was ready to get out, I would just lose it because I was so excited. I was like, what's going to happen next? You know, and I would just kill it. I would just kill my experience. So enjoy it. You're doing the right thing. You're making notes and enjoy.
I gotta thank you guys. I want to say, yeah, anybody can say it's coincidence and all that, but I don't think so. I really want to thank sharing, listening to you guys, going through the book. It's probably one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life.
Thanks, David.
Thank you, man.
All right, Jason. Hi, Jason. I remember your
I've been here
first
the whole
OB.
time.
I remember your first OB. You're all excited.
Oh yeah, yeah, so exciting! I went to the backyard. But hey, I'll take
Hey.
it. Good times.
Marty. Hi, Marty.
Hello, hello. And you know what is so really nice about the group is, you know, I've had 4 or 5 experiences here, just from in the last 2 months, I guess. And it was, I felt just exactly like what David's saying, you know, just high on it. And there's nobody to tell. And so you tell somebody anyway, friend, family, and they just roll their eyes and say you were dreaming, and they don't want to, you can tell they really just want you to talk about something else, and you're all revved up. It's like, oh man, this is profound, you know. And so, you know, having people that understand and share the experience, it's just really, truly wonderful, David. So I thank you too, you know, thank you all. And I have spent the last like 2 days trying to figure out how to lie prone and I give it up. Woke up with a backache, and I don't know if Robert Monroe was confusing the terms or if he was just anatomically built different or something. But I know there are people that sleep on their stomachs, so I don't know how they do it. But you know, I really tried. Now I ended up with like, well, you can't breathe. Either you turn your head all the way to the side, or else your nose, you got to somehow get your nose up so that you can breathe. And so, you know, trying to put like a roll something under my forehead, and then another one under my chin, another one under my collarbone, another one under like my pelvis to try and keep me from getting another backache. And then you move one thing and something else slides away, and it was like, I tried for hours, and I just said, this isn't going to happen, you know. So I don't know, did anybody else do any good or trying to do prone or what? But the rest of you guys who have all been so successful, what positions have you used when you were exiting your bodies? I'd be interested to know. Over and out.
What about if you lay on your stomach and you have one of your legs, say your right leg, over a pillow? Okay, so your stomach is kind of up on the pillow a little bit, but it's also on the bed. Is that still considered prone? And then you could have one arm, you know, up like under the pillow, and then the other one just kind of out. Does that make sense? I can't think of how I would. So it's still kind of prone, and I must say I have had a couple. I feel like I'm for me for some reason I do get in sort of that state in that position.
Mm.
It's not quite on my side. It's not quite on my stomach. Anyone else?
Interesting.
Yeah, I've gotten close, kind of like almost on my stomach, but also on my side, just like you were saying. It's like my legs are kind of up, so I'm not completely on my stomach. Otherwise, it would kill my neck.
Right.
But I've gotten pretty close that way too, especially upon awakening, like when I came out of like a dream experience, and I'm still have some of that awareness. It's happened usually when I'm laying in those kind of positions.
Cool.
Julie, would you like to do an intro?
An intro? As far as what?
Anything new going on? Any
Okay.
experiences happening since the last one?
No, I tried really hard this morning. I felt like it was perfect timing, and didn't quite work out. I feel like definitely dreaming a lot more, but I haven't had a lucid dream for, I feel like a couple or a few weeks. And I don't know what it is. Sometimes it's, I think it's one of those things, or it seems like for me, it's just if I practice daily, then I might hit a little bit of a, get the vibrations or get the feeling or start to slip out. But it seems so far for me, it's been over a year. I haven't been really consistent. There was a time where I sort of like, okay, I got involved in work and related stuff and I wasn't practicing. But I really want to try to get on a routine and practice on a regular basis because I want a full-blown one. Marty, I did look up who you suggested, Michael Newton and Richard Martini.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I listened to one. It was like over an hour. Interesting. So have you been watching more of his? Does that give you hope?
Yes. I think that evidence-wise, I don't see the guy's either got to be a total liar, or it's for real, because you can't have 30 years of experience and over 7,000 hypnosis sessions where you kept tapes and transcripts and they all jived with each other. All their experiences were agreeing, with each other. And it's just, how could that be wrong unless the guy's a complete total. And if you listen to him, he's just like Robert Monroe. He's real scientific. He's dry, hasn't made a lot of money from it or anything, so.
Were you able to check out any of Cyrus Kurt?
Yeah.
Cyrus Kurt. You did his YouTube?
Yes.
Because he has a lot of good stuff to talk about. And I just joined his group. So I'm going to, because he mentioned a couple other people who have some channels with really good descriptions. I like hearing the stories. I feel like for me, I feel the more comfortable I am in diving into it when I hear more stories.
Yeah, I keep trying to put the two together because I think our astral travel stuff is legit and Robert Monroe, but the only reference he makes to people who have passed is people he sort of happened upon. And when he was in locale 2, he said there was this place, it was like a park where people were sitting and sort of waiting for someone to come and take them to.
Are you talking about Cyrus?
No, I'm talking about Robert Monroe.
Oh, Robert. Okay, right.
Is that right, Juice? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but that didn't seem to be like that was where they were ending up, was locale 2. But he did say that a lot of the people there were either insane, partly insane, or dead, or drugged, or something in locale 2.
Yeah.
But it was more of a way station. But anyway, the only thing I can think of is that when we're deceased, which I would love to know for sure, but is that you go to a higher plane or a higher vibration than we can get to in the astral projecting, and that they can like slum it and come down and visit us when we're halfway, in there, but we can't go to them. Does that make any sense to anybody?
You mean like the higher planes, not the middle astrals?
Right. About
No,
like
I've listened to people who have gone to the highest realms, into the oneness realm.
Oh, you have gone there?
No, I haven't. I've barely been out of my bedroom. No, I've listened to people. Well, I feel like Tom Campbell has been around the astral towns and high realms. And Frank Keppel, the guy I recommended, he's been to the highest.
How is Keppel spelled?
Keppel. I think
Yeah.
it's Kepple.
Okay.
Kepple, is that correct? I think that's correct. Or BEL, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. But he's the one that's on the Astral Pulse. Well, he's passed, but he has a lot of posts on the Astral Pulse message board. There's a ton of stuff there. You could just
put a link to that last
get
time.
lost there. A link to the Astral Pulse?
Yeah.
Okay, let me
Right. I
look
think
it up.
because I went to it, so I think you put one on there before. If you want to throw it down there again, just in case
Sure.
you can get that. That was good info. I have that saved in my OBE stuff now. Check.
If
Yeah.
I could do, I joined, I don't know how many astral groups on, and now I got them all confused. Which is the one that I can find stuff from, like you guys, you Juice, and
This is
someone?
you can do the Austin Astral Projection group,
Oh, okay.
or the Facebook group, the new one, the Astral Projection meetups and webinars and events going on. There's one on there too for that. And then if you do a meetup group, it's the Austin Astral Projection meetup group or the Facebook group too. You can just type that in, it'll come up. I'll put links on there for it. Or Jason, if you're free, you can throw a few up there.
Did you hear about any of when Cyrus? I don't know if you've watched much of his stuff, but when he travels, he usually ends up with his mom, who has passed. Many times he visits his mom.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, that's, I guess, in his experience, and in his interviews, he's done a lot of OBE and NDE interviews. A common thread is when we pass, we pretty much wake up. A high percentage of, in his view, high percentage of us just wake up kind of almost like we wake up and we think we haven't died. We're just regular old physical, nothing's changed, and we might end up in the home that whatever home we really had an imprint on, like made an imprint on us, and we made an energy imprint on it. And it's almost like we have another home on the astral realm, which is like a duplicate of either the home we grew up in or where we raised our kids, or something that's where we would expect to meet our loved ones, kind of a thing. And when his mom had passed, and I think it might have been a year later, I can't remember, but he was taken there to where his old home, and he said his mom was hanging out there and she was still having a life. And in his view, this particular realm, which is, I think he called it the middle astral realm. I don't remember. It wasn't lower level, but it was like a middle zone, and it's like a hyper earth realm. Like you take this and you add a bunch of wonderful things that you can do. It's like a higher level, much better, more exciting, but it's the same map. It's topography is the same. It's the same earth, but it's much more beautiful, much more things we have we can do, because we're in different bodies. We're in an astral body and not a physical body anymore. And anyway, this is his view. But he has met up with his mom often. So that might be of interest to you to check
So
that out.
Okay. Thank you, Julie. I'm going to continue with the intros here. Andrew. Are you there, Andrew?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, it's going back to what Marty was talking about. Yeah, about you saw some people like in local too. Can you hear me?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a halfway house or
Well,
like a halfway place.
that was in Robert Monroe's book. I didn't see them there.
Yes, I know exactly. What I'm trying to say is that I've experienced something like that, where they were like a halfway house where people were being processed, that had crossed over. And there were several of them on the astral plane. There were several places like that where people were being processed. But in my own experience, what I found out was that when people cross over, some are asleep when they're crossing over. They're like in a trance state. They are not. They are on the astral. They might cross over to the astral plane, but they are not conscious that they are on the astral plane, because everything that we were taught about what happens when you die in religion, when the reality comes, it is not as the pastor or how they said it's going to be. Things are not like that. So the mid, and you also mentioned the mid astral plane. Okay, the mid astral plane, things are much brighter there, and it's like the Summerland. That's where the mediums called the Summerland, because it doesn't get dark there. The other parts on the lower astral plane, from what I've gathered, they have all the seasons. It could snow. It could snow there. There could be snow there. It could be dark, and it could be bright. And further down from the mid, and if you're able to access that, the higher astral plane, that's a wonderful place to be. Everything there is it's almost like science fiction, what you'd expect to see in it. Like everything is giant buildings. It's completely different from the mid astral plane. So.
Thanks, Andrew.
So you also mentioned something about.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, there was someone's mentioned something about the higher planes. The higher planes are the mental, are what are regarded the mental planes, and it's the spirit, it's the body we use to travel to access those planes. It's not the astral form. However, we can use the astral body as a platform or as a springboard to get to the higher planes, because the astral plane is open. Is much closer to the higher planes than anything else.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Robert Monroe talks about that, how certain people are lost in there, and as Marty was saying too, they don't quite understand that they're not in a physical body.
No.
and they
Another,
seemed lost.
okay.
Yeah,
Another thing I found out is that when people cross over, they're being processed. But you have a choice not to be processed. That is what I didn't know before. That you have a choice to not take part in being processed and continue on your journey without having to be processed. Do you understand what I mean?
yeah,
Mhm.
yep,
Because I've seen a long queue. Sometimes I've experienced a long queue of people just queuing up, and I've wondered at what is processing them in front. You don't see what's processing them in front, but there's a queue of people, spirit, waiting to be processed. So, it's good that people. What I found is that if you're awake, if you're already awake and you're an astral traveler, when you cross over, your crossing over will be different from the normal person, if you understand what I mean, because you will pass over awake. The astral plane is not going to be a strange place to you, and you will know that there are other places beyond the astral plane.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's no place where we cannot go. We can even go further than we can travel even further than those that are have already passed on and have just stayed on the site on the astral plane. We
So,
don't we can go past that once
so,
we
so,
can.
so you're
Sorry, go
saying
on.
it's going to be easier for us than for people who haven't had some toe in
Yes,
the, yeah, yeah.
yes, yes. Those who already practice lucid dreaming, who are proficient in lucid dreaming, and those who already do astral projection, it means that already your two minds are married together, the subconscious mind and the objective. So your critical mind will be working throughout. But the people that live in the astral plane, they seem to be like, you have to initiate before you to speak to them. First of all, you have to initiate. They can't just come to you and say, "Hey, hello, where are you from?" or something like that. You have to initiate the conversation because they're mostly unconscious, subconscious beings.
right.
Yeah.
Brett's got a question.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to agree mostly with what Andrew's saying, because I think there's like we may have a different experience when it's our time to pass because we can question what's going on because we can kind of
Yes.
recognize what is
Yes.
happening. But some people, I think there's a lot of like people that have passed on the other side that don't understand that there's more out there and might just stay in their current experience for however long that would be until they have something else that comes up to them and tells them that there is more or that they can change or grow. I think there's still opportunities to grow even after you've passed. And just
Yes.
us being able to know this now means we kind of just have a bit of a head start on the next time that we pass on. So I
Right.
agree with what Andrew's saying.
Robert Monroe, would you like to do an introduction as the last person on the list? Come on, Robert, don't be bashful. That's why we're here, because of you. Just kidding. You don't have to say nothing. All right. Well, everybody's gone. Did an intro. I don't think I missed anybody. And I'm going to throw up a poll here real quick to start for this last chapter here. This is about what we just talked about. What's your most successful OB8 exit position? Save that. So it looks like the back, and I can't vote, so I'm with back too. And then we got the right side, and then the left side, second place, and the right side, third place, and everything else is 0. Standing, so back, stomach, right side, left side, standing, sitting, other. Looks like the back wins. Maybe we gotta start doing the prone position, see what happens. Maybe experiment with that a little bit. All right. Okay, guys. So we got open discussion. We made it through the book. I'm just gonna tell you now that I want to do far journeys. Starting in a maybe in 4 or 5 days, I'm gonna list the first meetup for the far journeys. Try to finish all 3 books and see what Monroe came out with far journeys. I believe it was 1985. I think that's when that came out. the glossary here, he gets into different techniques that he talks about throughout the book. I was just going to bring up a few here. Fractional relaxation, common method of obtaining relaxation by mental instruction to each part of the body to relax one at a time. So I've heard that one used a few times. This is pretty good. The hold off point, when the condition of a complete physical relaxation is achieved, yet the conscious mind is fully awake. So named as it is the point where the hold off from falling asleep. So the hold off point there is where your body and mind, body awake, body asleep, mind awake here. The hold off point, when he mentioned that a few times. I thought this is interesting. The K recall, auto conditioning tapes to help ensure a prompt and easy return to the physical body. When the return was desired, the letter K was the mental sign given consciously. And then the peel off technique of separation from the physical body, where one slowly turns over, lying prone, here we go again, and leaves the physical body behind. Most simple and efficient method found, which was at 100%. So maybe we got to go from our side or back into the prone position. Maybe that's some more evidence on it, what he's talking about here, because we're kind of confused on this. And then the reach out 90 degrees one, we were a little confused on that, the 90 degrees and 180. And this is unexplainable method of setting up vibrational state described in chapter 16. So he can't really just, he's unexplainable. And then the sex center pattern, early method utilized to promote vibrational state by diverting sex drive into other body areas. I've heard a lot of like monks and stuff doing techniques like that. So all I was going to do is open it up for discussions. Let me take this off here, open it up to open discussions on the book, any part of the book, anything on techniques that he used. Just throw your hand up would be the easiest way to do it. And if no hands are up, then whoever speaks first, take it away.
Okay. I have the Audible book, so I was listening to 16 again, some more and so on. And the thing that really is amazing to me is how friggin' scientific that guy is, that it just made me feel like it would take me 20 years to get anywhere, because first you have to get to condition A and then to condition B before you go to condition C, and where you just concentrate on one thing, and then you don't concentrate on anything, but you just hold blackness, and then you don't go to the next step. And meanwhile me, it's like I just want out. I just want to go flying. And I guess that's really like a bad thing to do, I guess. But anyway, that's a comment.
I kind of feel like that whatever we signed up for here on this planet, why we're here, if we want to experience what's going on beyond this body out there, you got to work at it to a certain degree, because we either signed up for something to be here and to forget what happened and how we got here, and it's not going to be easy to try to see what's going on the other side. Whoever set up the system here, they didn't make it easy for that, but they gave you the option to do it if you want to spend your time and do that.
Okay, I got a comment on that, and I have to just say, because I've had a friend for many years who obviously goes out of the body whenever she wants, and she's in communication with the blah blah blah, all that. And after my husband died, she told me I had cut off my spirituality and so on, and then I started doing all this research. I went to Holland and I did mushrooms, which a whole other story. But I've just gone down all kind of different avenues. And my conclusion is that we are here to live a physical life. And that all of these things that get thrown into our path, all these barriers and hurdles and asshole people that you're supposed to feel compassionate toward, you know, and so on, that that's all there because this is boot camp and you're supposed to be learning, you're supposed to be growing and getting more loving and less judgmental and on and on and on. And I say this other stuff like astral traveling or any of this spiritual stuff, it's all fine and dandy if you want to do it, but if you don't, you didn't fail, you didn't, you know, because that's not what I think we're supposed to be here for. But I think it's wonderful to do. You know, of course, you know, my motives are different, but anyway, that's my 2 cents on it.
Right, Marty. Brett, go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, just to add on to that, like I agree with everything being said. It's something that we're allowed to do because I think if it was removed in the first place, that would be limiting our free will. But what I think is one of the largest problems is, and I have this issue sometimes with Monroe, just with all the terms, right? We're really addicted to labels and wanting to understand. And personally, I feel like it's best sometimes to keep the attempts like the KISS method, right? Just trying to keep it as simple as possible. Because as we get older and as we're living through this life, we become more and more grounded in this physical experience. And that's going to shape how difficult it is for us, or how we believe how difficult it will be. This is probably way easier for really young children. They might be doing it and just not realizing what it is because they have less attachments than we do to this physical life, right? So, I mean, that's just what I wanted to add, to try to keep it simple, try to let go of attachments and just accept what's happening, especially in the moment.
Andrew.
Okay. Okay. The astral projection itself, it's a path on its own, and it can actually lead to self-realization. So it's a bit more. There is more that could be done with astral projection apart from just going out and flying. There's a lot of work that can be done. And after, when you've been doing it, when you've been projecting for a while, and you don't include your core being in your practice, it's not going to. You're not going to see the depth in astral projection. It would just be like some kind of escape or something, and you will not be aware that the ability to project. I mean, even though they say everybody can project because we do it every night when we go to sleep, not many can actually do it consciously. And as a result of that, the way I see it, it's a kind of evolution, a psychic evolution. So we're not just conscious of the physical plane now. We're conscious of the astral plane, conscious of the etheric plane, conscious of other planes. While the average person can't go beyond their dreams. And the best that they can hope for is a good lucid dream, that you're able to operate and using different multidimensional bodies that you can use. But it will not have any meaning if you don't use your core self, if you don't bring your core self into operation. And you will not even know how deep it is or how deep you can go with astral projection. So some people, if you can project, if you are able to project to the astral plane, there is no reason why you can't get to. There is no reason why you cannot access the higher planes at all. There is nothing stopping you from accessing the higher planes. You just have to know how you can gain access to it. You have to know things like that. I mean, the first time I've been able to access the acacia. The first time I tried it, I first said, okay, I'm not going to go to a past incarnation. I'm going to go to this present incarnation and just go back so many years and see whether I can see myself, like when I was age 6. So I was able to accomplish that. And I even remember the memory But what I also found out was I assumed that the only memory that I'll be able to access would be my own personal memory, what I had observed during that period. But I found out that I could actually even go back. I could actually go to other parts of the area and see what happened around that period. So, because then I read, because when you're in the acacia, it's not just your own past. You see parts of everything, and you know, and that's what I found. And I was able to access that through astral projection by simply the intent I used, the command I used was not take me to the akashic record or take me to the acacia, because the inner self might not know what you're talking about, because you have to understand the acacia and stuff like that is a human construct. So I use the backdoor by saying, okay, take me back, so you know, so many years, you know, so many years back, and it will do that. It will happily do that, and you will find yourself back in time. You see your past personality, who you were, and stuff like that. So all this can be accessed through astral projection.
Thanks, Andrew. I just want to
Yeah.
remind everybody it's 8 o'clock. I made it for an hour tonight, and I'm going to continue for a little bit longer past 8. Feel free to leave at any time you want. And thank you for coming. And I'll see Far Journeys will be up soon, so we can continue into that. So let's continue discussion for a little bit. Has
Sure.
anybody here been to the Monroe Institute? I know Jason was signed up to go to one, but it got canceled because of the pandemic. I was gonna do it too, but I was on a hike, so I pulled out of that one. Anybody signed up for any online OBE classes or webinars or anything?
Every once in a while, I'll sign up for an International Academy of Consciousness, webinar. They offer those, or sometimes the woman Nancy, who's on the team there, she does some live webinars, or live not webinars. I guess it's Facebook. It's on YouTube. And I try to follow Tom's stuff when I can, Tom Campbell. But I haven't been anywhere yet to anything.
Right.
It might help. Has anyone had coaching? One-on-one coaching?
I got a bit of coaching from Lori Monroe,
Who's Lori Monroe?
his daughter, the daughter of Robert Monroe.
Cool.
I just got to say something really weird. When I used to come to these groups, everything seemed, when everyone would talk, it was very mechanical for me. But now it's more mellifluous, actually. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone, but I'm listening to everyone talking. It seems like it's flowing. It just flows better.
Something unlocked in you?
It's just, I don't know. It's just different. I want to also say, I want to apologize if at any point I ever made anybody feel like I was judging them in any way, shape, or form. I don't know. It's like I believe now. I don't know how to explain it better than that.
Huh.
If I could say, I don't know if it's just because I got so excited about, having some experiences and not being able to tell anybody, and that it's weird to feel close to a bunch of people you don't even know, but I do, all you guys. So I have to say again what David says, like it's really amazing, really. So thank y'all.
It's like the opposite of shared trauma.
We used to run the groups in Austin with Jason and Stephanie. We used to do them in person back in the good old days when you can meet up in groups. And we used to do all the meditations and stuff together in the same room together. and then we would have discussion like we're doing on here together in the same room. It was really cool. I was wondering, is everybody thinking about doing far journeys, reading the book, or is anybody what's your
Yeah,
thought on it?
I am. For some
Oh
reason,
yeah,
I still haven't gotten the book in the mail. Huh,
absolutely.
check on that.
Yeah, I'd have
Great.
to order it. I haven't read it.
Book coming. Weird.
I'm wondering if you can also download the digital copy of it too, the ebook.
Not shipped yet. Why are they not shipping this? We will email you when we have an estimated delivery date. Darn it. I have the other two. Well, yeah, I think you can. Let me look at it.
Well,
Yeah,
hopefully,
it's on Kindle, so maybe I'll just download it.
I had the audiobooks, but all of Monroe's books I listened to on the audiobooks. And I gotta tell you, the Journeys Out of the Body I thought was fantastic. The other ones, I got really distracted by all his code words, like he
yeah.
talk about he curled and he blanked and there was all the, and so then I'd go back and listen to it all and I make myself a list of what does this mean and this mean and this mean. And it just got too like hard.
Well,
For
Marty,
me.
maybe with this group, with us doing it, we can tear it down a little bit and help each other. That's what I'm hoping, because I got confused too in certain areas too. So I'm hoping for some help. I would like to, if it goes nice and smooth, I like to move on to other things eventually. Other books besides Monroe. Definitely William Buman.
His book helped me the most out of all the ones that I got. The Adventures Beyond the Body. I
Yeah.
loved that one.
Beautiful.
What did you like about that, Brett?
He gave a lot of good experiences. I mean, it seems like each author has their own explanation of what's going on, which I tend to just ignore completely because I'm the kind of person that I don't really believe that we could possibly know that right now in our current limited state. But
You mean they interpret what was the meaning?
yeah, it's like everybody kind of wants to kind of figure it out, like how can we put labels onto it and kind of understand what's going on. But to me, it's so foreign and alien that I just can't. I have no frame of reference because we're currently attached to this physical existence. But the way he explained different techniques of his and like what to try, that just helped me out the most. Because with him, I mostly ended up just doing what he suggested with like affirmation work and intent work before I went to sleep. And it just created spontaneous out of body experiences. And I just skipped any kind of transitional state whatsoever. Like I wasn't doing it during like with meditation because I couldn't get comfortable enough really. But they would just happen as soon as I fell asleep after I started doing the work. And it was just like going to the gym, like exercising a muscle. But in this case, it was like exercising the subconscious.
You would fall asleep, and then you said you didn't go through, were you saying you didn't go through the like the vibrations and stuff like that?
Skipped it completely. Just
Just
rolled
woke
right
up
out. Yeah.
In would you wake up in the physical plane or in the astral planes?
That's another thing too. I don't really like ascribe that much to. I don't try to put labels on it. I basically, what it feels like to me, it's kind of like, I liken it to radio because it's a simple analogy. You have all of these radio stations floating around in the air. They're all overlapping each other. And you're focusing on one at a time. But they all exist. And so when I go out of body, I'm moving that focus into a different energy level. And usually it looked very much like here. I'm in my room and it looks similar to my room. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the room starts looking wild, like it's not even attached to a fourplex anymore. It's like a 1-bedroom cabin with windows that shouldn't even be there and the light's crazy. But I generally started it off in my room.
Mm-hmm.
And but I don't try to say, okay, I don't know where I am generally. Like I know that it's an approximation of my room, but depending on how far away from the physical I think I am, it starts to look more and more weird. It starts to look farther removed from an Earth-like area. So that's kind of like I'm turning the radio dial farther away from the physical, either closer or
Well,
farther. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's why I like to listen to a bunch of different stories. Cyrus was saying when I was listening to some of his stuff, the difference, because I was thinking, well, what's the difference if you're in your house on the astral or if you're in your house on the earth plane? How do you know the difference? So it's similar to what you've probably all heard before. So if it's the earth plane, if you're in your house on the earth plane, it's generally you're not gonna be walk outside and it's gonna be hustle and bustle and people, and you're gonna talk to people and see different entities, some who live on the astral plane, some who are projecting. Generally from what I've heard, you don't see and interact when you're on the earth plane and you're just hanging out on this sort of three-dimensional, but not exactly the three-dimensional, because obviously you're in a not in your physical body. And then when he projects to the astral plane, it's like this heightened state of existence. It's the home that he grew up in, and it's the town that he grew up in, but there's all these new different people to talk to, and it's really bizarre. I mean, I haven't heard this till I listened to his stuff, that it's in his experiences when he goes out, it's just like, there's cities going to the bar, hanging out. Some people going to the bar, some people going fishing, some people are working, some people, it's so bizarre to me. It's like, wait, what? People die and they choose to just continue living life like they would here.
Because it's familiar, right?
And then some figure it out, whether they figure it out fast or slow or whatever, and then they move on to some other astral level, and where it's a little more, even more heightened. And then that's what I'm not sure about, all the different planes. Like, y'all, some of you have been talking about the ethereal, which I'm assuming is, one of the lower levels, right when you get out of your body, and then you go to the astral and you're more physical. And I didn't know that the astral body couldn't go through astral rock or astral walls. I did not know that. That's good to know. And then you can go higher to the higher planes and be this sort of mental consciousness. And what's above that? I don't know. I've heard some people melding with oneness and getting a taste of what it's like what it's going to be like when you are pretty much melding with source, and then coming back from that.
That's the only reason I was saying that. Like, for me personally, I try not to say, okay, this is where I am, because when you're out of body, it's like, okay, here in the physical, we're used to a certain type of locomotion. We move in 3 dimensions, but over there, when you move in 4th dimension, you're moving around in different levels of energy without technically moving. You're just going there. And the only thing I can differentiate is the quality of energy. Like, you can kind of tell when something's kind of low in base and your connection's bad in terms of, and then on the opposite end, when something is vibrant and energetic, and you just feel better and more connected and grounded. So there's that quality is how I differentiate kind of where I am. But I don't have a term. Like, I haven't gotten to ask someone that lives there, okay, what do you call this place?
Right.
I haven't been able to do that yet and remember.
Right. Yeah, Cyrus has, when he's gone out, he says that they say it's Earth. This is Earth. It's not the astral planes. This is Earth. And I think they call this the Earth plane, or we're the lower level, apparently, according to the people he's talked to in his astral travel.
Well, that kind of makes sense if we came from there and that was first.
Yeah. Yeah, that would make sense.
Robert Monroe, he gets, in the beginning of the book, he gets confused with the word astral. He mentions that in there, how it's a confusing word. He doesn't care for it.
The astral, yeah, and plus, to me, I think it kind of detracts, like, from people. It starts arguments in terms of, like, oh, lucid dreaming versus astral projection. Well, is this X? Is this Y? And then it kind of makes everybody confused.
And supposedly, I've also heard that people in the astral, that live in the astral, they also lucid dream. You can sleep as an astral person, Like if
Right.
that's your primary focus. In other words, if right now as physical beings, our primary focus, let's call it focus one. This is where our focus is, primary focus. And we can turn, like you said, turn the knob and we can go to focus two, focus three, focus four. But if your primary focus, let's say focus three is where you go when you pass away, generally speaking, when you don't have a physical body anymore, if your primary focus is focus three, you can and you live there temporarily until you move on to until you change your primary focus to another focus. You can actually lucid dream as an astral person. Again, they don't call themselves astral people. I think they probably call themselves humans, I guess. I don't know. Have you guys heard that you can, once you pass on and you're living in the astral, you could still lucid dream?
I've heard about people meditating while out of body, and then they
Yeah.
head to like even higher
Yes.
energy levels, which is kind of
Yes.
interesting. But I mean, I was also around when out of body. I'm around people that were drinking and getting high and stuff like that too. And
Right. Yeah. That's so interesting to me. I mean, I never, and that's what Cyrus, also this other traveler, he's seen lots of that. He's had some very interesting, crazy experiences. Actually, he's seen a lot of weird stuff, like even lower levels, like low energy. Some people who apparently pass on and they just have a really low negative energy and they live in the lower planes for until they figure it out, however much time that takes to raise their level of energy. And
Does anybody
everybody needs however much time. It's unique to each energy person.
I just wanted to also mention really quick is just when you go out, also try to take it with a grain of salt. Try to read the energy of things that talk to you, because I've also been lied to by
Right.
beings when out of body.
Right.
So sometimes it's hard to trust all the information you're given and then come back here and tell people this is how
Right.
it is.
Right.
So I think
Exactly.
that only really changes, I think, with multiple experiences, and going out and asking questions and reading that energy.
That's
But that
another
takes time.
thing I heard, which was interesting to me. Apparently, there are some reputable mediums connecting with some who have passed on, and they say, "Oh, when you pass on, it's really a bummer. I mean, you're not physical anymore. You can't taste, you can't hug, you can't touch, you can't smell. It's not really fun here. It's better to reincarnate and go back to Earth. So you can have all these things." And the one of the theories is that, well, they're probably tapping into somebody who, when they passed over, they for whatever reasons did not go to the astral planes. They went to some more of ethereal state, and they don't realize yet. They don't realize that they can change their focus. They can change the station. So they're kind of stuck there. So like Cyrus, one of the researchers of astral projecting, he had said, you got to be careful. You don't want to mislead people to think that is the way it is for everyone. That might be a handful of dead people or past people that have passed on. That might be their experience, but that's not the experience of everyone. Have you all heard any of that before?
I've heard something similar like that, but it's just people don't understand. When you get to the part where you came from, it will be obvious as to why you came down to the physical plane in the first place. You have to understand we have our psychic dimension and we also have our spiritual dimension. The psychic dimension has got form, and that's where we talk about the astral plane, and that's as good as it gets. Now, when you get to the higher plane, there's no form. You're in spirits. The spirit has got no form.
Who would choose to go to the spiritual form? Some people would prefer not to be in the astral form.
No, it's because we have different dimensions, but we are so focused on our psychic dimension. We are not looking at our spiritual dimension or looking at what they call the immortal spirits. So we are more concerned with our astral form. But we also have we have to remember we are cosmic beings, so we need to go back. When we go back to the source, going back to the source is not going back to the astral plane. Going back to the source is going back to um, the higher world,
Right.
where we're in
Well,
spirit.
would you say,
The oneness you
yeah,
mentioned.
would you say, Andrew, that we should be evolving, or some just jump right up to the higher planes? They don't, or are they already, are you more, would you say you're in a more evolved, what, I don't know what to call it, person, more evolved person, if you skip the astral?
I don't believe that, because there's some people that cannot project, but they've got more spirituality than those that can project. But they too get compensated. Like they could have a mystical dream. They have a feeling of someone taking them up into the heavens, and they get to experience get the experience. They get the experience that way. If you
Well,
understand
I'm
what I'm
talking
saying.
about more when we pass on. When we
Okay, where
pass
we pass
on,
on.
pardon me?
Yeah, so, what I found out from passing on and being in the near-death groups is that when we pass on, people have different kind of experiences and different way of things what happen to them. Some end up in the not the ethereal plane, the etheric plane. Some end up there. That's the home of where you get all those astral entities, and they're stuck there for a while, but they still move on.
I
Eventually,
don't know the difference between etheric and ethereal. I thought it was the same.
no, they're not the same. The etheric plane actually is actually part of the physical plane. Because the etheric body, you can't project your etheric body, because the etheric body is what props up our physical body. So when you're in sleep paralysis and in those phases, that is when you're phasing into that, into that etheric, that what we call the etheric body.
It's hard when
And
we don't have the same terminology. I mean, that's why I think we do need to label, and so we can communicate. So it sounds like you're saying the etheric body is what I might call the energy body.
Yes, thank you. That's it. The energy body. Yes, it's the same thing.
The
energy body.
The way I'm understanding it is that we have a physical body, an energy interface for all the chakras and all of that connects the astral.
That's it. You're talking about the same thing. We're talking the same thing. That's the body I'm talking about. That's the body that vibrates.
So you're calling that etheric. Okay, cool.
Yeah. We're talking, even though we might be using different terminology, it's the experience of it. That is what you look at. If it's usually are going to be similar. It's going to be the same.
Right.
It's going to be that. Yeah. It's going to be the same. People, when they describe it, if you've experienced it, you know where they're talking about, because you've been there. Yeah. And if someone is going to the mental, if someone has gone to the mental plane, you will know by the language they use, to explain the plane. You would know that, okay, we're talking about the mental body, because they sound very detached from the emotions. They are able to look at things in an objective manner.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still learning. And like I said, the one guy I listened to, just started listening to, Cyrus, I think he was speaking of the mental plane as the fourth, he speaks in terms of density. So like this would be the third density, the physical plane. And then the fourth density, I think, is maybe the astral. Maybe it's the fifth density is the mental planes. But anyway, it's all interesting.
All right, guys, I got to run soon. I got 2 questions left. One's me up there, and then Marty, real quick. I just wondering if anybody's ever seen the movie Astral City.
I haven't.
Okay, I put
I've
a link.
seen it. Yeah, I've seen it.
You seen it, Andrew? I put a link down there. It's a great movie. I say if you get a chance to watch it, I put a link in the chat area to it. And it's made in Brazil. It's got English subtitles. It's a great movie. And Marty, I'm gonna let you finish up the night.
Okay, but don't hang up the thing, because I'm still copying stuff here. If I can.
Okay.
So you put new stuff up. Um, a couple things. One thing was, as you guys know, my whole motivation in trying to astral project and everything was because my husband died, and you know, all the Buddhists and everything say you shouldn't get attached, but we were like really attached, and we had a really, really good relationship, and we had just started traveling. We spent 3 months in Eastern Canada, the Canadian provinces, and he killed, and I have had an urgent mission to join him, and I was hoping to do that, you know, through the astral travel, which I think from what you guys are all saying is possible, but I don't think that I have enough years to get that good at it, especially after listening to Robert Monroe more. So I'm just saying, I think there's only one way to really get there, and that's to go. But anyway, the other thing was people were talking about the other life. According to Michael Newton, you get this life review. You hear that from like everybody, the life review. And then you eventually join a soul cluster, which is people who are sort of on a same vibrational level that you are, that you've known through numerous reincarnations. You're kind of like old buds from way back, and that there's a lot of humor and joking around and hanging out, and there's like continued education, so to speak, where, you know, there, but that also that you have the option to take off and go on like vacation, and you can go back to the earth and enjoy things, enjoy physical type experiences again. So I just thought, you know, that's in that Michael Newton stuff, if anybody wants to get in there, just so you know. So that was all I had to say. So let me copy this other stuff before you take it off.
Okay. All right. Congratulations, David. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We made it through the first book. Let's hope we'll have a good time on the second book. And I'll have that
Absolutely.
info up soon. Yeah, David?
I'm looking forward to rereading that second book. Oh yeah.
And we had, during this time here, we had 2 major breakthroughs with David and Nikki. You guys remember Nikki had her out-of-body experience as well. I think it was both Nikki and David, right? Was there another person, or just it was 2? I forget.
Me, sort of, Marty. Sort of.
Okay, Marty. So that's pretty good. I mean, it's great when people have experiences like this, because I really think this helps by us doing stuff like this. It's helped me in the past, and I enjoy doing it with everybody. I'm gonna be hosting some meditations coming up soon too. So we're gonna do a meditation, whoever wants to do it, and then we're gonna have a conversation after the meditation on if we want to share an experience we had while we were doing it, and we can have a little fun with it too. We can have like little things set up where maybe we used to think about, like, somebody has a symbol or something like that, or if somebody can like kind of zone in on that when they're out of body and try to get somebody's symbol. And I'd also like to set up a number system here too at my father's place, a random number. And if anybody gets out during the meditation, if they can get that number, or not even if they get out, if they just somehow perceive it somehow. So either getting out or just somehow getting it, remote viewing, whatever, which way. It's all good.
Hey,
Is
Juice.
it gonna win the lottery?
That's predicting the future. I haven't worked on that yet. But that's possible.
Were you able to do that test that you were doing with your dad?
I'm working on that now, but I haven't got out of my body yet. My
Okay.
father's setting up the test for me, but I haven't gotten out to figure out what he's got set up for me. Yeah. So, well, guys, have a great night. I'll see you next time.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good night,
Bye.
everyone.
Good night, everyone.